Hello and welcome to 9 Inch Charge. It is Wednesday, so we are talking Old World. We are joined today by the one, the only, Dan Jolly, who is king of podcast intros. So I'm just going to hand over.
Hello, guys, and welcome to the 9 Inch Charge. Tonight, we are talking Empire. Tom is going to be talking about all the nonsense he has purchased. I'm going to be moaning about all the things I'm trying to print. And Dan will be trying to convince us that he's not just going to bring the beard and smash us all on the tabletop, or at least he's going to call it narrative. There we go. So, raise those tankards high. It's Warhammer Wednesday. It's actually old.
Very good.
I messed that up.
Well, other than that,
Warhammer Wednesday is good.
I said Warhammer, though. I didn't say the other non-mentionable on this channel.
Yes. So today we've alluded in the podcast that our gaming group is all collecting Empire. We're going to try and get up to between 1,000 and 1,500 points with a view to go away in November and rent out a hall and a fireplace and roll lots of dice and drink lots of beer and eat lots of cheese. And it's all your fault, Dan.
Well, I think we were all sat there, weren't we? And well, you and I were talking about what we could do and how cool it looked that you were playing Siege, and wouldn't it be good if we did something? And then we got on to talking about the fact that, well, actually, I'm going to level some of the blame at you, because to be honest, it needs to be Warhammer Fantasy for you to be drawn in, doesn't it? Let's be honest. So that narrowed the playing field pretty dramatically. And then it was like, well, they were talking about the Empire Civil War, so let's do Empire Civil War. And Empire armies do look cool. They're real colourful. There's a great excuse to do different ones, different provinces. So yeah, and then I found a really cool battle, got really excited about it. There are named characters. There's lots of detail about it. Then we found out it was set in like 1350, which is what, I don't know, nearly 1,000 years before the setting of the old world. And most importantly, there was no gunpowder, at which point you solidly turned your nose up at that. And I was like, no.
If I can't bring 3 cannons and a steam tank, is it really Warhammer?
Well, that's fair.
Not Empire in properly.
So I think we're going to have a bit of a chat through what we're doing, what we're collecting, why we're doing it, where we see the project going, and then we really want it to have a kind of a narrative edge to it. So we probably should have done some preparation rather than just discussing this kind of on the podcast, but we're going to try and brainstorm a bit ideas of how we can, within one weekend, in around the socializing and the drinking and the other things, try and have a bit of discipline to play some games, enough games, and what we can do to make it narrative, and what does that sort of if it's a campaign, what does it look like?
I think the key thing is we've got to rock up on the first night, set up the board, and put the armies down, and that's it for night one. And then drink some ale or non-alcoholic beverages. You don't need to drink to have fun. Just put that caveat in, and then eat copious amounts.
Edit that out.
Yeah. And just chill out, because I think, I'm totally at that stage with wargaming. I'll be honest, by the time I've done setup and had a quick glance at the table and been like, oh yeah, that looks banging, I could quite happily sit back with a coffee and just have a natter for an hour or two, and then put all the soldiers away again. So I think we just got to spread it out. I think if we try and do more than a single game, it's unlikely. I reckon we set it up, 8x4, get all our forces out. We'll be nattering and drinking, and then Yeah, and then the next day we'll start playing, and we'll try and get a couple turns in, and maybe do the final turn on the Sunday before we pack it all away. And we will do, we'll probably do other things. I mean, we played more pool than in one weekend than I've played in like years. So we'll do other stuff as well. And we'll eat, and we'll go and spend a fortune at a local farm shop. Yeah.
I think something that's going to really help, if I don't mind jumping in, is the fact it's all going to be there. If we get it set up and we're not swapping games every 5 seconds, we'll probably be really inclined to just keep on gaming. Because we don't have to go in, get the terrain out, put the models away, get them back out. If we could set up some side tables where we just store our armies.
Yeah, I think you're right. We've got to have it so it's set up. It's got to stay set up. You know, when we were hoping to go to the same place. So where you guys had the Siege game set up last year, that's where we've got to get it set up.
So are we saying that we're going to do one massive battle?
That was in my head. That's that's what I was thinking. Because I was thinking we've been banding around like 1250 points. And I was thinking that, you must, the three of us, Henry,
Ben
Hall, and I don't think Ben Chambers is going to be doing an Empire Force, but I think we could probably, because what's that? That's 5 of us, so that's 2.5, 3.5, 3,750.
We need to rope one more person in, don't we? That's what we need to do.
Well, we either need to rope one more person in, have an allied contingent, or some of us do a bit more points. Like you guys. I mean, Tom is just going to, unless something derails him, there's every chance it might need to be 4 of us versus Tom to level it out.
My plan was to paint enough so somebody else, like Ben Chambers or Ross, could join in and use a bit. A lot.
It segues us in nicely, Tom. Why don't you talk us through the force that you'll be bringing?
Oh, that's a great segue. So I'm starting off with 2 warrior priests. One of them's going to be the higher level, the lector, I think they're called. I'm going to have a captain with a BSB, 2 big blocks of Nulns, veteran state troops with halberds, with 2 detachments of 5 handgunners each, 2 units of 4 of the lovely Games Workshop knights that were at the top of our best model list a couple of weeks ago, and then 2 great cannons. Something that I think is going to look quintessentially old world fantasy, that I think is going to look banging on the table.
And why have you chosen Nuln, and what is the name of your general, and what's his backstory?
Oh my goodness, I haven't done all of that bit yet. I haven't painted him. I haven't brought my character to life. He might be called like Bert von Cheeseburger or something like that, because we had to fit that into this episode. Why did I choose Nuln? I just wanted to play an army of infamy. Why not? Why not go for it? And it's also black and red, and I'm very apt to paint in black and red.
You basically picked Blood Angel's colour scheme and transplanted it into the old world.
I do it with every game system. Every single game system. How do I paint red?
Dan, you've gone back and forth a bit on what Province of the Empire you're doing, haven't you? I mean, we've talked back and forth quite a lot about colour schemes and the Empire army you used to have and recreating that or doing something new. Have you settled?
Maybe, as much as I can. Until I start putting paint on, I probably won't. But I'm pretty wedded now to Talabeccaland, so yellow and red. And there's a couple of things that play into that. So as you said, I have considered Hochland. So I had a Hochland army before, and I thought I'd go in on that nostalgia thing and go with Hochland. But I always felt like dark green and red was never. It just, the thing about Empire is I like it when it's bright. I like that. I think it's just part of what the magic for me. And I want something a bit brighter. So yellow and red. I
thought you were going to say red and green looks like Santa's elves.
Yeah, it does that. It does that as well. I want it to look vibrant, and I really like Stirland, which is green and yellow. Henry is real passionate about Stirland, although he has said like it's fine. But what I like is there's a bit of a rivalry between Stirland and Telebeckland, so that's quite good. That plays into our narrative a bit. So I think that's how I'm going to go with them. And with regards to like force composition, I've thrown around a few lists, more because I like using lists as like a target in my head of what I'm working towards. I find that helpful. And I want to have a big block of dudes. I want to go for your classic sort of back of White Dwarf style Empire army. So I want a bit of artillery. I want some knights. I want a block of guys, because I think that's really Empire. I want some flagellants because I think they're really Empire as well. I was actually looking last night because I hadn't clocked that they'd done the Prophet of Doom that you could have, so like a character version of one of them. So I thought that would be pretty cool. So I'm thinking, and I want to have detachments, because that's something that was a big deal in Sickbed. Like when I played Empire, that was the whole thing, is that they had detachments. So I'm thinking big block of spearmen, halberdiers, supporting them, a little block of halberdiers. So probably like 30 spearmen, but then 10 halberdiers, 10 handgunners. I was talking to Tom about doing crossbowmen. I might do crossbowmen, just because. I mean, it's nonsense, but hey ho. And then a mortar, because everyone's going to take a cannon, and I love a cannon, but I just want to see a mortar.
Just get flashbacks when we used to play. How many mortars did you try and take against me in that one game?
3. I got it in my head that like mortars didn't need to roll to hit, and like so the janky wood elf nonsense. Yeah, wood elf. I'm not going to go. I can't. I just
don't do it, man. It's not worth it.
It makes me ill. So yeah, it's like wood elves just flipping get their tiny violins out while beating you to death. They get their tiny violins, string an arrow on it, and shoot you in the face. And that is how it goes.
We're here to talk about Empire today.
I know, but I'm raging already. Yeah, so so I want to have some knights. I'm going to get some knights. That's kind of where I'm at. And I'm using the Reptilian Overlords 3D printed STLs.
This is quite a deviation for you, Dan, because you were always flying the standard for Citadel and Games Workshop and not having anything unless it was official and had the Citadel. And if it had the Citadel logo on it, you were happy to spend 10 times more always. So why have you not done a Tom and got Games Workshop exclusive miniatures and gone the way of the 3D print for this project?
Right, so there's a few things here. So the first thing is I really like that puffy sleeved aesthetic, and that is much more prevalent in these Reptilian Overlords prints. So that's a big deal for me, because I really like that, because that's what my Empire army looked like, the big puffy sleeves. It's what I remember. I really like that. Secondly, when it comes to painting, I always felt that what is the current brand of state troops, there's too much nonsense going on. I want to paint like 100 of these guys. I don't want to be painting some little skull that he's got that he's hanging around with, or little bits, pouches and nonsense like that. I don't want any of that nonsense on my rank and file, because actually I want to get the army done. Those are the sort of not whingy grognard reasons. the whingy grognard reasons are that, frankly, I feel like the old world has shown a side of Games Workshop that is taking the piss, if I'm honest, and has really frustrated me, because I'm sorry, and I know you love them, Tom, but some of the models that are coming back out and what they're charging for them, and the fact that they're talking about comprehensively resculpted, and no, you found them at the back of a broom cupboard and decided to charge a bunch of money for them. So I feel aggrieved as a customer on that note. But I was just getting over that, and then the FOMO thing hit, where they went, right, here's a bunch of Empire, and they're only available for 2 weeks, and once they're gone, including the comprehensively resculpted war wagon. And I just don't like FOMO as a business model. I get it. I absolutely, don't get me wrong at all. And I've always usually been quite on board with the fact, I get GW are a company, they have to make money. I don't have to buy their stuff, it's fine. But it's really made me feel like there's a lack of value given to the customer with some of the way some of the way that the old world's been presented. And that has made me feel like, actually, I'll just do what I want to do, that I'm happy about, really.
I agree with you. I think the thing about FOMO is, I don't mind if it's like, here's a bunch of old Empire characters that you might remember. Here's an old wizard, here's an old battle standard. If you want them, we're going to release them for 2 weeks. And in the meantime, you've got other ones that you can have. But there's only one war wagon, and it's in the book. So it's, people are going to want to take it as part of their armies. It's like saying, here's your core unit. You've got 2 weeks.
Yeah, but they're going to... The thing is, though, what will happen is, in a year, it will come back out. And it will come back out to general release under a fanfare of, look what we've done for you. We've brought back this wonderful model. Aren't we the saints? That is what will happen. And this is why I said I had my 2 reasons that weren't the whingy grognut, because I get it. I am being the very customer that used to drive me up the wall when I ran Games Workshop stores. I know I got grumpy and angry. And ultimately, I don't have to like it.
Do you feel like you've become, like everybody's got that uncle, where like when he comes in the room, like, oh god. Do you feel like that is now you?
Yeah, probably for the old world. But Tom's that uncle that's locked up in an asylum, so it's okay. No,
well, I am doing Talabime, red and white. The reason that I am doing Talabime is because they are, in the lore, they're kind of like the wood elves and the naturey ones of the Empire. Although the aesthetic is very different. They don't wear green. And I like the lore about them. I like they live in that big crater. It's a really cool setting. I've always been drawn to them. I've never really painted anything red and white before. I'm really enjoying painting them. I'm using the Highland Miniatures 3D prints. The reason being because Tom is a madman and didn't want to use them and wanted to buy Empire Knights from Games Workshop. So that's why I'm doing that. And then I'm the same as you, Dan, in that I will write a list and then I want to work towards that list, so I know what I'm painting. Ultimately, I want to have a big collection, but going away, I need to know what I want, if you know what I mean, what I need to paint, because time can be limited, can be a factor. And I've been back and forth, because when you say, oh, I'm going to do 1, 2, 50 points, immediately I'm like, oh, I can fit 2 griffins in 1, 2, 50 points. I can do, how many level 4s can I put in? How many cannons can I put in? And my brain kind of instantly goes that way of where can I min max and what's the minimum core you can take that's most impactful for that, for that points allowance. And I did all that and then got it out of my system. And I played a game with my cousin, which I think I'm going to talk about in the next episode. And the stuff that wasn't brilliant is the stuff that was really cool on the tabletop. You know, the old world does not encourage you, like the 8th edition did, to take 40-man units of infantry because a dragon will just come and eat them. But when I put 40 halberdiers down on the table, oh, it was something to behold. And I played with my great swords, and I had them in a unit of 20, and I had a frontage of 5. So I've ignored everything that Dr. Luke Blackstiller has taught me about having line hammer and having them all in the front so they can all attack, because it just looks cool. And now I just want to lean into that aesthetic, and a bit like you, both of you really. I want to have a good mix, a bit of artillery, a bit of cavalry, bit of infantry, and I think that is what I'm after, really. Just something that is visually cool on the tabletop. And although playing with the Empire has turned out to be exactly what everybody told me it would be like, it doesn't matter because everybody else is taking Empire, so we will all be equally shit.
I think it, like, it's what we're going to try and achieve, which is, I think anyway, for me, is a visual spectacle. And the visual because there are lots of great war games out there. I think that it's very difficult to find one that looks as cool and impressive and impactful as the old world, when it's all painted up. You got your classic scenery, you know what I'm talking about, almost like your bog brush trees, your one little cottage in the corner, couple of hills, and your big blocks of infantry and your ranks and stuff. It just looks great as a visual spectacle. And I think that's certainly what I'm hoping to recreate. I know this won't be the same for everyone, but genuinely, if we rocked up, set all that up, and then ate cheese and drank beer for the weekend, I would have achieved my objective.
That's your hobby goal.
Quite comfortably.
Your hobby goal and your life goals don't quite match up, do they, Dan? Because in your life goals, you're looking a lot trimmer. You're looking fit and healthy, and you've been out running, haven't you? And not just to the pub or to get the last pasty.
No. I've been running away from my desire to return to the Citadel logo fold. And
yeah. Why don't you tell us a bit about what you and Ben are going to be up to?
Oh yeah, well, that's very kind. Yeah, we're so I've been on a bit of a journey since like the end of last August to try and lose a bit of weight, just because it was impacting my enjoyment of day to day. And one of the things I said coming into this year, after putting on a stone over Christmas, I will add, was that it would be good to do some exercise. And Ben Chambers was like, "Oh, you know what you should do? You should sign up to an event, a running event, and that will inspire you." And I'll do it. He said, "I'll do it with you." So I'm doing the Race for Life on the 22nd of June, which is 10K. So it's not, it's no marathon or anything, but for someone that's never really run, it's quite a long way. So I can just about do it now. I'm out tomorrow morning to go for another 10K run. So yeah, I'm just about there, with about a little over a month, 6 weeks to go. So just got to keep it going.
And you're running for an excellent cause.
Yeah. So Race for Life is supporting cancer research. So, and I think there's loads of great causes out there, but this is one that's touched everyone really somewhere along the line.
Yeah, I think the word cancer is just really impactful, and somebody who's had it or has got it, like, it's terrifying, isn't it? And the other thing about cancer is I don't know anybody who hasn't been impacted by it or affected by it, or doesn't know somebody who's had it. It's just bloody everywhere, and it's crap. So it's a really, really worthwhile cause, and I really admire what you're doing. So I'll put a link down in the description if anybody wants to sponsor Dan and raise a bit of money for fighting cancer, because there's no better cause really other than collecting models probably. So yeah, what were we going to talk about? Oh, I know what we're going to talk about. We wanted to have a bit of a chat about, like you said, what's the objective, and then what, for you it's setting it up, having it visual, getting it there. And I think Tom and I were saying how, I was talking then about my list building kind of preferences, and Tom and I have gone to events, and you've just come back from an event and things, but we were talking about how we wanted to keep it a casual event and why that's important to us.
And do you want to come in on that, Tom? I'm conscious that I've kind of
dude, I love it when you talk, so
ages.
I could sit here and listen to you all day. I think one thing that summed it up for me really well is we were talking about, I said, Dan, we're a bunch of blokes who just want to be comfy. Like we'll do it at our own pace, at our own time, but when we get there, it will happen. And I think for me, that's been a big mindset switch to not go kind of balls to the wall, crazy list building, and do something that's going to look more old world and more fantasy than just a load of cavalry charging down the center.
I think for me, it's important that we do that little bit of lore building. We name our characters and things, and we name, I'd like Henry to name all of his cavalry units and things, and then know which ones have done a successful charge or one day somewhere. I'd like us to do that and potentially carry that forward if we can, if we play other games using the Empire.
Yeah, I like that idea. I'm going to call my general Captain Jollenhoff, because I think it's appropriate. Something along those lines. Yeah, I do like the idea of carrying the narrative. I think that's a great idea. I guess the thing is that there's loads of different great ways to enjoy the hobby, isn't there? So if list building's your thing and competitive play is your thing, then absolutely that's valid. There's loads of value in that. There can be loads of good fun in that. I think the bit that's really important, and we're fortunate, obviously, as a group of mates, is that we understand what each person wants to get out of the game. Because, as much as I'm happy to rock up, paint my soldiers, rock up, put them on the table, and then just drink beer, you guys, if you painted all these soldiers and then rocked up and didn't even play a game with them, you might be pretty bummed out. You might be like, what? So it's important, it's no good for me to just rock up and sit in the corner getting rosy and laughing away, and you're not getting anything that you want out of the activity, because that's no better than if I rock up with my narrative army, you rock up with your competitive army, smash me off the table, and then I grumble about it. So that's the key thing, is that we understand what each person wants to get from it. So, and even to the point where, it might be the case that, because I know Henry likes the idea of setting up the toys and just sitting back. We'll just set up Henry and I against each other down one flank. We'll just sit there oh, this is cool. And then you and Tom can go at it at the other end, actually playing the game. Yeah. So with Ben Hall, well, we can just put Ben in the center and just give all his men stats that are 10s across the board, so that he feels like they've done something valuable.
It doesn't matter what we do, because after Ben rolls, he's not going to roll anything other than a 1 all weekend, is he? Let's be honest.
Nothing can save Ben from his own dice, can they? Bless him. But his stuff will look absolutely fabulous.
Yeah, it looks great now, and it's not even painted. The conversion work he's doing is just nice.
There's a man that will put character into his force.
So what we'll try and do a bit of a hobby update along the way, and then also we will put our stuff on the usual socials, and we'll use the hashtag Old World Wednesday. And then if you look for that on the usual socials, then hopefully you'll find a bit of progress, what we are up to. I think that pretty much takes us to the end. Obviously, we could just settle in and carry on now, but I know you've got another battle to attend to with the kids, Dan. And
well, no. So the thing is, right? Harriet won't watch this podcast, essentially, if I sit in here with the door closed, she'll just think I'm still doing it. So I just just hide in here, chatting to myself.
All right. Well, thank you, Dan, for joining. Tom and I will be back next Wednesday, and we'll be talking about the first game that I've played with the Empire Army and how that went. And I think that's pretty much it, isn't it? So thank you very much, guys. It's been a pleasure, and
Thanks,
see you next Wednesday.
See you guys later.